like to thank our board. Most of them are here tonight. We're going to spend most of the day tomorrow in a room talking about a lot of the things that we do. Would our board please stand up? We have many of them in the room. Robin Smith, David Will, Matt Cobb, Peter Schoenberg, Lindsay, Diane Oldenburg. Thank you so much. We couldn't do this without you. And we also have a lot of staff in the room, and I would just like to recognize them. If all the staff would please stand up and take a bow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please feel free to come to talk to any of them. We're all happy to talk to you about the work we do. I really want you to enjoy your dinner tonight. In a little while, I'll be back. And I'll be back actually twice more. So don't worry, you're going to see me again. Enjoy your dinner. I actually want to take a moment right now because I want to acknowledge someone who has been a real ally, someone who has been important to this movement for a very, very long time and who has specifically worked for the causes that you are in this room for well over a decade. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge former Governor Bill Richardson. Governor Bill Richardson has a commitment to native carnivores and especially to wolves. In 2010, Bill Richardson banned trapping on 3.1 million acres in our Gila National Forest. It is the only time that a governor has had the vision and compassion to say no. No to a policy that has been on the wrong side of history since 1931. Not only did he act courageously then, just today, Governor Richardson, filed documents to intervene to stop Governor Martinez's efforts with the Game and Fish Department to prohibit the release of more wolves in our wild Gila. For both these efforts, we're giving the governor a beautiful scrimshaw bolo tie with 3 howling wolves. Governor Bill Richardson.
This is a very difficult speech for me because I've been limited to 3 minutes. But I just want to say it's great to see so many friends. And today, Bob Redford and I, we have a foundation to protect New Mexico wildlife. We, in fact, filed an amicus brief to, while their guardians did it, to protect and bring the wolves back to New Mexico. And I want to just say it's great to be back in Santa Fe. Although I live here, you all say, well, when are you back? Well, I live here, but I travel a lot. I wanted to just pay tribute. By the way, I see John Horning is here. I thought you'd still be in jail, John, but I'm glad you're here. I also want to thank Peter Schoenberg, who was a dear friend. You know, when I was governor, I said, well, you know, Peter, you've been a great friend. What do you want? He said, well, I want John Horning to be on the Game and Fish. And I said, well, I don't have any vacancies. But we put John on the Air Quality Board. And with Gay Dillingham, who is on my table, New Mexico was the state that defied the Bush administration, and we adhered to the Kyoto Treaty on air quality. We did that. I will say Governor Martinez kind of nullified that. But I wanted to just thank Gay for her great work and John for his great work. I want to thank Wild Earth Guardians for their commitment to habitat, for protecting wildlife, for so many important issues affecting the state of New Mexico and the West and protecting our species. You know, I try as much as I can to remain engaged in public policy, but you know, these days sometimes you get discouraged. But I'm not discouraged because there are groups like Wild Earth Guardians that I think we all need to support. We need to protect, I know it's far away from here, we need to protect the Gila. We need to protect the Gila. And we need to create an entire buffer zone that protects our wildlife in the Gila. And this is long range, something that Wild Earth Guardians and Gay and John Horning want to do. That's long range. But at the same time, I think there's some very short-term issues that cry for attention, like the wolf. You know, when I left government, the first thing that the new governor wanted to do was nullify everything I ever did. And thankfully, the legislature, Senator Michael Sanchez, Brian Egoff, and I want to just say that Kate Furley, who is the attorney for the Redford Richardson group, filed today this amicus brief on the wolf. So we got a long way to go. And I know I'm going to get in trouble. Have I exceeded my 3 minutes? I want to thank Karen Durkovich because the arts are tied to wildlife. It's quality of life. And she made our treasures in New Mexico sacrosanct. At least while I was governor. I don't know what's happened since. But I want to thank Karen and Steve Durkovich. I want to thank Catherine Miller, who was my budget director, environmental budget director. She's now head of Santa Fe County. And I don't know what she's done there, but she married a great guy. I know that. And I want to just conclude with to John Horning. And I see Bill McCamley here. He, from Las Cruces, a great environmentalist. Give him a big hand. Well, look, I'm around. I'm still kicking around. I'm an MSNBC analyst. You kind of wonder what I'm doing. I do speeches. I get paid for speeches, not much for this one. I do, some renewable energy boards. But I just want to say how happy I am to receive this award for trapping. When did I do that? Was
2010.
that early on?
2010.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
But I think what you're doing with the Gila, let's protect that Gila. Let's have a buffer zone in New Mexico where we protect our species. And I know that's down the road, but I think, John, first protect our base. The wolves, protect our wild horses. Bob Redford and I, we're going to announce a new agreement with the Navajo Nation soon. That at least stops the slaughter, stops the roundups, that looks at finding viable alternatives like land for these wild horses. But we've got so much to do. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the work you do.
You will always be our governor. We are very lucky tonight to have Michelle Lute here. Michelle is our wildlife coexistence campaigner, and she will speak for a few minutes before John Horning comes on with the keynote. I think once you hear Michelle speak, you'll know that she is the right person for the job we need to do. Michelle Lute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Luke, and I joined Wild Earth Guardians for one reason: to wage war. Specifically, to wage war against one federal agency by the name of Wildlife Services. Now, I'm very particular about the words I use, and like many of you, I assume, I don't like the word war. I don't use it very lightly. But 85 years ago, the federal government launched a war on our wildlife, and this year we have committed ourselves to launching a major counterattack. Wildlife Services claims that its goal is to, quote, allow people and wildlife to coexist. I believe nothing could be farther from the truth. But I'd like to share some facts with you so you can decide for yourselves. Between 2004 and 2014, Wildlife Services spent more than $1 billion in taxpayer money to kill over 30 million animals using aerial gunning, poisons, traps, snares, and hounds. In 2014 alone, the Wildlife Services spent $120 million to kill 3.9 million animals. Wildlife Services was not created to serve wildlife. It was created to serve ranching and agricultural interests. Moreover, its policies are not driven by scientific evidence, but by an ancient prejudice against majestic species like coyotes and wolves. Recently, a study was conducted to answer the question, does the government's predator control programs actually protect livestock? Researchers reviewed approximately 100 studies conducted over the last 40 years. These are the same studies that Wildlife Services uses to defend its policies. The researchers found that only 2 of these studies met the scientific burden of proof. Nonetheless, Wildlife Services continues to rely on these bogus studies to defend their bogus programs. The 2 studies that did meet the demands of scientific rigor found that non-lethal methods, like fences and guard dogs, were just as effective at controlling predators. And still, Wildlife Services holds tightly to their lethal arsenal. We have to ask ourselves, why do they continue to kill millions of animals each year? Unfortunately, cruelty and a lack of intellectual rigor are not their only faults. Wildlife Services is also one of the least transparent agencies in government. Wildlife Services regularly declines interviews, congressional inquiries, and requests for public records. They only provide the number of animals killed each year, but never the reasons why. We can only wonder at the motivation for killing almost 5,000 cattle egrets and over 700,000 red-winged blackbirds. What is the scientific support for killing over 20,000 prairie dogs? These are not only reasonable questions, they are vital questions, and they deserve to be answered. But Wildlife Services never provides answers. They just keep hiding behind the same studies that have been proven to be inadequate, inaccurate, and just plain false. I, for one, am tired of waiting for answers. I'm tired of the endless slaughter, and I'm sick and tired of paying for it. But I'm not too tired to fight, and that's why I'd like to introduce you to the person leading that fight, the Executive Director of Wild Earth Guardians, John Horner.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, Governor Richardson, and thank you all for coming out tonight. This is my favorite party of the year. It's my favorite because I get a free pass to talk about really intense environmental stuff without getting that sideways look from people saying, who invited him to the party? That too. Despite what you may have heard, we environmentalists are not always the most fun people to have at the party. We're not so good at just letting go and enjoying the moment. No matter how much fun everybody else is having, we can always think about something awful, like the climate crisis, endangered species, or vegan meatloaf. For example, I have trouble enjoying my father's birthday. Don't get me wrong, I love my dad. He's a big fan of what I do, And he's here tonight, and I appreciate his support. But my father was born in 1931, and I don't really like that year. You see, 1931 is when Congress created the Animal Damage Control Agency. Eventually, that agency changed its name to Wildlife Services, which might be the most misleading name ever for an agency because it sounds like they do catering for wildlife, for animal birthday parties or something. When in fact, of course, what they really do is kill some of our most misunderstood animals like coyotes, wolves, and prairie dogs. I want to repeat what Michelle said earlier. Between 2004 and 2014, Wildlife Services spent more than $1 billion in taxpayer dollars to kill 30 million animals through trapping, aerial gunning, snaring, and poisoning. I don't know about you, but I just feel oppressed that I'm forced to pay for this. Sometimes I feel like I'm not qualified to do this job because what it really requires is a psychiatrist or a philosopher to figure out why people just go along with spending $100 million a year to kill animals. Or why we allow so many terrible things to exist, like sexism or racism or drone strikes. Please bear with me while I try and work through this tier tonight with you. My instinct is that somehow all these terrible things are connected. I'm sure if you got a room full of 10-year-olds together, they wouldn't agree to spend $100 million on animal cruelty. I'm assuming these are well-adjusted and happy 10-year-olds. So what happens between childhood and adulthood? How do we arrive at a place where our government can be so cruel and oppressive? There's a word for cruel and oppressive government, and that word is tyranny. In 1831, exactly 100 years before my father's birthday and the creation of the Animal Damage Control Agency, the French government sent a guy by the name of Alexis de Tocqueville to the United States to study us and figure out how we work. Here's what he had to say. I seek to trace the novel features under which tyranny appears in the world. The first thing that strikes the observer is a multitude of people endeavoring to procure the petty and paltry pleasures with which they glut their lives. Each of them, living apart, is a stranger to the fate of all the rest. His children and his private friends constitute the whole of mankind. Above these people stand an immense government, which takes upon itself alone to watch over their fate. It covers the surface of society with a network of small, complicated rules through which the most original minds and the most energetic characters cannot penetrate to rise above the crowd. Honestly, I'm not sure what that means. I think maybe it means that because so many of us are distracted by our own lives, and because the path to leadership is so narrow, that we just give up, and we let other people take control. More than that, we don't want the job. Maybe lots of 10-year-olds want to be president, but not many 40-year-olds do. The most creative and energetic minds are not only blocked from power, they prefer other pursuits. What I think de Tocqueville is saying is what we want from government is the space to pursue our own goals and to excuse us from the time and effort required to make this country the kind of place it should be. Perhaps that's what happens between childhood and adulthood. We become so focused on our personal goals that we let others, we let politicians and bureaucrats make decisions for us, really important decisions with unavoidable and profound consequences. Consequences that color our character, that define us, and that carry the burden of guilt. It's not enough to say I wasn't there in the room. when they voted to destroy some village or shoot 1,000 coyotes out of a helicopter. We are, each of us, defined by what our society performs. Not knowing what's going on is not the same thing as being innocent. Ignorance is the second excuse for allowing cruelty to exist. The first is lack of power. There was nothing I could do. The bully was too big, or I was too far away. I don't blame people who don't want to make the compromises necessary to be in the rooms where those decisions are made, but we cannot choose to be ignorant of the consequences of those decisions. Because you're here tonight, it means you're willing to learn about some facts and fallout from those decisions. So let me share a few more facts. Wildlife Services admits that its indiscriminate killing methods, and especially trapping, cause massive collateral damage, killing more than 50,000 non-target animals since 2000. 50,000 non-target animals. Among the mistaken dead are pronghorn antelope, mule deer, badgers, beavers, porcupines, foxes, bald eagles, and our own family pets. Wildlife Service agents rarely handle federally controlled poisons legally, and they often fail to post required signs indicating where those poisons are being used. As a result, cyanide traps set for coyotes end up killing hundreds of domestic dogs each year. Every year, the agency kills approximately 80,000 coyotes. Most of this is carried out with a scorched earth mentality, often torching coyote pups while they're in their den. On average, the agency kills a coyote once every 7 minutes. One more thing, and this isn't a fact, it's something else. I can't help but think that something really important, something magical, something mysterious is lost with the death of each and every coyote. It's like someone is taking a knife and carving out a piece of our collective soul. But with your help, over the last two decades, Wild Earth Guardians has been in the trenches, fighting Wildlife Services, and this year, as Michelle noted, we're launching a whole new campaign to stop the bloodshed. Let me tell you how we're going to win, and we are going to win. We're going to win first by suing the bastards. In fact, we're about to settle a lawsuit with the agency that will remove Wildlife Services from 6 million acres of public lands in Nevada. It's the largest closure in the agency's history, and that's about the size of the state of Vermont. But lawsuits alone aren't enough. People have to know what's going on, and we have to show them. The reason that Wildlife Services doesn't do interviews and doesn't disclose their practices to Congress is because they know they can't defend themselves in the light of truth. Cruelty alone is a terrible thing, but cruelty that's hidden, that's sinister. It's not an exaggeration to say that Wildlife Services is a parasite that hides in the shadows and thrives on blood. That's a vampire. And we're going to kill Wildlife Services the same way you kill a vampire, by dragging it, kicking and screaming, into the light. That's why we're going to go... That's why we're going to go state by state, county by county, shining a light on every dark corner of Wildlife Services until they have nowhere left to hide. If I could, I'd stop every form of cruelty, but I don't know how. I do know this. Cruelty to animals is the window through which every other form of cruelty enters the world. Cruelty almost always flows downhill, from those with power to those with less power. And no one has less power than animals. I honestly believe that if we can begin by stopping cruelty to animals, we can begin to reverse the flow, to stop other forms of cruelty. But as long as we allow one form to exist, others will surely follow. Wildlife Services is without a doubt a bully. But this bully is not too big for us, it's not too far away, and we definitely have power to do something. Tonight is neither the time nor the place to solve all the world's problems, but it is precisely the time and place to tackle one of those problems and begin to dismantle this institution of brutality which has existed for far, far too long. So while environmentalists may not be the most fun to have at a party, it's still really good to have us around, because it's hard to have a really good time when your tax dollars are being used to kill defenseless animals. So let's put these guys out of business. Let's put them out of business so that next year when we get together, we can have a lot more fun. Thanks for coming. Appreciate the support.
Okay, 3 times. It's the charm, right? All right, I promised I'd be back. I think you know what's coming next. It is such a lovely part of the evening for me, and I hope for you. And yes, we are going to ask for your support one more time. And before we start that, I just want to say thank you, because I am really clear that we can't do this work without every single one of you. And so there are people in this room like the Durkoviches who have been with us for a very long time. And there are family who are here. I think there are at least 7 Hornings in the room right now. And we have new members who've just come to us recently, Megan Mulry and many others who are beginning to hear about the work that we're doing. We can't do this without each and every one of you, and so thank you. Joining me tonight is Dave Levine, our Communications Director.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome, everybody. I appreciate all of your support. Much of my work is going to be centered around getting the message out to people who don't know about this. Because a lot of people don't know about these atrocities that are happening. We have a foundation who has given us $75,000, which is about half of what we need to do our work for the next year. So tonight, we're looking to raise $75,000 so that we can win and defeat this cruelty. Now, here we have a wonderful dessert coming up, just after we're done with this fundraising part. So my big thinking self and my efficiency-minded self just wonder, and my new guy self, because I just started about 6 weeks ago, wonder if there's anybody here who would be willing to donate a gift of $75,000 so we can put these guys out of business and get back to our conversations and dessert. Anyone? Anyone?
Yeah, okay. Nice try, new guy. That was awesome.
Somebody had to ask.
Most of you know how this really works, but I want to give you a few tips and tricks. So, what we're going to do now is what we call a paddle raiser, and you'll need your bidder number. So everybody find your bidder number. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out a number. And I'm going to start high, and then I'm going to go work my way down. And when I call your number, I want you to put up your bidder number and your bidder card. And when you hold up your bidder card, I will call out your number, and there are some very efficient people in the audience who will write it down. And then when you go to leave, you can we take really any form of payment you want to give us. So, very simple process. I think we should practice.
Practice once.
So I'm going to start out. This is a total freebie. Is there anyone in the room who would like to give $25,000? All right, everybody. This is a freebie. Everybody, put up their bidder card. Everybody, come on. Woo! All right, come on. Put it up. You got to put it up high. I got to be able to see it. Okay, table in the back. Mary Turner, you need to put up your bidder card. Okay, good. All right. See, it's bad that I know your names, right? Yeah, okay. All right. Are we ready? You got that?
Everybody ready?
All right.
I'm learning.
All right, here we go. This is for real this time. Is there anyone in the room who would like to give tonight at $25,000? $25,000. That one also never works. Is there anyone in the room tonight who would like to give $20,000?
You can have just 2 desserts.
Is there anyone in the room tonight who would like to give $15,000? Thank you, Nat Cobb. 130. 130. The Cobbs and Nat is a part of our board, 100% giving board. We're incredibly grateful to them. Is there anyone in the room who would like to give $10,000? Number 208. Thank you very much, Charlotte Levinson. 208. Also, Lynn Horning. Did I tell you about the Hornings? 193. 193. $10,000. Is there anyone in the room tonight who would like to give $7,500? Great. I'm going to just stop for a moment at the next level, which is $5,000. I've stood up here in front of you a lot for many, many years. This year, I would like to start the bidding at $5,000, or the giving at $5,000. Please write me down for $5,000. My fiance just made it $7,500. Thank you, Steve Baker. Number 138. 138. Thank you. That's why I love him. I love him for me. Is anyone that would like to give $5,000 this evening? $5,000. And we have. Thank you to our governor. You will always be my governor, just so you know. Number 223. Number 223 with Larry Goldrick for $5,000. Is there anyone in the room who would like to give $2,500? Very good. Thank you so much. 292. $2,500. 292. 286. That's another board member, Bill Son. 286. Thank you. Number 294. 294. Very good friend of mine, Nicola and Chris. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's see if I can try this again at a different level of giving, and see if we can sweeten the deal a little bit. So before we get on to the $1,000 donation here, I want to let you know that we've had a very kind gift of matching donations. So your $1,000 will be amplified to $2,000. And there's no limit on the number of $1,000 donations or matches that can be made. So would anybody like to donate $1,000 tonight? Thank you all. Let's start over there. 263, 263, Thank you. 124. 124. 115. Thank you. 115. 299. Thank you. 299.
Another board member.
I'm still the new guy. I'm trying to meet everybody tonight. 150. 150. Thank you. Can't see that with a light. 230. 230. Thank you.
Great table.
That 268. 268. Thank you. 311. 311.
That was another Horny.
Thank you, Horning. 160. 160. Thank you. 287. 287. Thank you. 153. 153. Thank you. 272. 272.
Another board member.
Another board member. Thank you. 232. 232. Thank you.
Another board member.
315. 315. Thank you. 195. 195. Thank you. Can't see that one in the back there.
298.
It's the spot. It's the spot. 298. 298. Thank you.
127.
127. 127. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to our donor who's matching those gifts. You'll note that we're very close and there's more to go. $500. Is there anyone who would like to give at the $500 level? Great. So 225. Thank you. 100. Thank you. 102. Jess Alford, former board member. Thank you very much. 300. Sitting next to me at my table. 300. 284. The Stuffs. They must have enjoyed their dinner. 246. 246. Terry Flanagan, another Horny. 161. 161. Someone I just met tonight. I'm so glad you're here. 129. 129. Thank you very much. 249. 249. That would be the table in the front. 15. Kate Furlick. 158. 158. She filed that brief this morning. Thank you for all that you do. And over here, again, 220. 220, some new friends of Wild Earth Guardians. We're really, really glad to meet you. All right, let's go to 250. 250. What? Huh?
Let's go back to 500.
What do you mean, Bill?
I will match 5 people at 500.
You'll match 5 people at 500.
Let's go 500. I'll match 5 people.
Okay, Bill Kent's gonna double your money. Who can say no to that? Is there anyone else who would do? Thank you very much. 299, second time tonight, board member. Thank you very much. Dave will.
Stop.
Okay?
Carol.
I'm a poor guy. I don't have a lot of money. But I'm an ecologist. I've worked in this field all my life. My daughter put on this event with the help of this company. I have an ounce of gold that I bought a number of years ago. I don't know what the hell it's worth. I'm putting it online, but I want you people to stop pretending that you are generous. I want you to actually give it up. Give it up.
Go back.
Plants and the animals and the water and the air that allows you to live.
We're gonna do it tonight.
Your life.
Woo! All right, and we will match that. I have a number over here. Colleen Gavin. I know you don't have a number. Colleen Gavin. Colleen Gavin. Thank you very much. $500. So that's 3, and we have. Oh, I don't know who to pick. 215. 215. And 233. Milton. Yay! All right. I think that is a lot more 500s right really does put on this entire show. Whose number is 100? 100 is a great number. Who would like to give at the 100 level? Great, thank you so much. 173 for $100. 277 for $100. 110 for $100. 309 for $100. More new friends. 276 for $100. 290 for $100. That was Mary Turner. She found her bidder card. 196 for $100. 252. Thank you. That's my table. Just saying. 166. That's my table. Thank you. 189 for $100. Thank you so much. 211 for again. Thank you. The good friends. 104. Elizabeth Hightower. Found her bidder card. That's my girl. 273. Thank you so much. 273 for $100. 307 for $100. Thank you so much. 307. 116 for $100. Wow. What a great night. Is there anyone in the room whose number I did not, not their bidder card, but is there any in the room who didn't get to put up a card and would like to? If you would like to give and you weren't able to tonight, please feel free to call us. Joe Horning for $100. The Hornings. The Hornings. John, next year, can you invite the rest of your family? Yes. Okay, great. That's awesome. Anyone else? I don't want to leave anyone out. It's a big moment for us. We have a grand total. Our grand total this evening was $95,100.